even for that, every day I'm like asking myself, Mark, this is the crucial moment. You're coming up with your basic idea, because out of the gate, if you have a basic idea that nobody wants to read, man, I'll do the 670 pages again for nothing, So now is when I'm like, Mark, you got to get the right concept to begin with. Make sure that you kind of get your ear to the ground and figure out what do people want, what do people like in a story. And so I'm looking real hard at Full Metal Alchemist. I'm looking at, Naruto and different stuff like that. And of course, I don't want to copy these things, but I want to get a sense of maybe drill down to the energy that's underneath it and see if I can emulate that to some degree. Thanks for that question. Anybody else have? Yeah?
Is consistency very difficult with drawing them?
Consistency, keeping your characters looking the same from one panel or to the next, or one page to the next, is very hard for me. In fact, if you look at the early first page of Miki Falls, she crashes through a window. And she's got fairly shortish looking hair. Well, as the series progressed, I made her hair longer and longer, with this like dramatic gusts of wind blowing through it. Let me see if I can find one of my favorite pages that hopefully is at least a little bit visible even across the room. It's this page here. And not that her hair is super long, but I just started to draw her hair in a different way by the second book even than the third book. But the problem is, the crash through the window thing is a flashback kind of bookend kind of a thing. So when you get to the fourth book, she crashes through the window a second time. It's the same time, but we have come back to the present, And unfortunately, her hair had got so long, and she crashes through the window. I'm like, it gets short again. Just so it'll, talk about consistency or inconsistency, as the case may be. Let me take at least one more question for now, and again, I should have time for other questions later on. Yeah?
How many hours of sleep have you lost drawing all this stuff?
How many hours of sleep? I'm kind of crazy because I wake up so early, almost uncontrollably. And I think it is just that, I've certainly with Miki Falls, I got into the habit of waking up sometimes as early as 4:30, and I just could not get back to sleep. And that's when I would hunker. At least by 5, I was up and working because Mio wakes up, or my son Matthew would wake up. And, at that point, I can't be. That's one thing, just so you know. If you want to be an author or an illustrator for a living, chances are you may work in your own house, and that means you can't do this 9 to 5 thing. I can't go to my wife, Miki. Yes, it's named after Miki. I can't go to my wife, Miki. He named it after his wife. And it's true. You notice that everyone in the family has a name that starts with M. And so we're talking about, because people are always saying the wrong name anyway. And I'll look at my wife, Miki, and say, Matthew? Because they all start with M. It's a little bit crazy. Where was I? Totally lost track of what I was. The sleep, the schedule. 9 to 5, thank you. I need you with me at all times. You can't do that. I can't just say to Miki, look, I'm going to start working at 9 and I'll see you at 5 o'clock, because I'm in the upstairs, spare bedroom, which is turned into my office. And good luck with Mio as she's screaming bloody murder for some reason that you can't comprehend. I'm just going to work all day. No, I can't be like that. I suppose some people can. I heard that Norman Rockwell, of all people, was like that. And I don't want to spread misinformation, but I heard something that his wife just had like a nervous breakdown eventually, because he was like, I'm Norman Rockwell, I paint. Honey, good luck with everything else related to this household, because I paint. You do everything else. In the end, I can't be like that. I really can't be like that. I got to take breaks to help out, do my share. But it can be a challenge, and that's partly why I think I started waking up so early, because that was my time, and I could sort of guilt-free get a lot of work done at that stage. I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to do 2 quick readings I've done, I wrote a lot of chapter books, and I'd go to schools and libraries and I do readings, and it's very often an author will pull out their book and read from it. With manga, it's kind of weird, the idea of someone standing up and doing a reading. So I created this thing that is a very brief sample of what happens in Miki Falls. I've done this before, but after this I want to try something that would really be the first and possibly last time. But anyway, the funny thing is I have not told you anything about the plot of Miki Falls. Really? Let's have a show of hands. And let me just tell you, there are 4 books. The premise, if you know what the premise is, the sort of basic what if of the story, what would happen if, blah, blah, blah. The premise of my story is not revealed really until the end of the first book. Unfortunately, the premise is the most interesting thing about the stories. The concept, the supernatural aspect of the story is the most interesting part. But if there's anybody who doesn't like to have something spoiled for them, I don't want to... Yeah, well, I kind of... It's vague enough. It's vague enough that you still don't know the real secret of who or what he is. How many, give me a show of hands, how many of you want me to go ahead and tell you what the premise of Miki Falls is? Tell us how it is. There seemed to be a divided opinion, because I saw some people who did not have their hands up. Are you doing that? Is that what's happening? Are they leaving the room to not hear? Is that what they were doing? Anybody else who wants to not know what it is? I'll make it short. I'll make it real short.
Okay, go.
I can't exactly run in this, so you're not telling me to.
Alright. I'm going to go ahead and... is she coming back in for something? Am I going to spoil it for you? Does it matter? Now all of you are going to be like, is that all? Okay, I'm going to make it quick. You're going to come back in real soon. The idea behind Miki Falls is what if people, when they fall in love with one another, that the whole thing is controlled by mystical Cupid-like beings that arrange. That's not the really interesting part of it. Anybody could have come up with that. I think what makes Miki Falls really interesting. What makes it? I'm sorry. Yeah, Cupid. He's like, I'll tell a story this good. What makes my story a little different is that they don't just control that. They don't just control that. They control the death of love. And when people are falling out of love, just before the love completely vanishes, they capture that love. And they transfer it to another couple who have not yet fallen in love. So love never just comes out of nowhere. It always comes at the expense of someone else who is falling out of love. So that's not Okay, I will stop telling you.
Okay.
You can come back in now. Anyway. So you can see that's why Miki has to die in the end, because... No, I'm joking. No, I would never give away the end of this. I'm just joking. I won't give away the end. I didn't give it away very much, but my idea was it would be interesting to hold off and make people go through the first book before they figure out the basic concept of the series. But anyway, I don't even know why, but that's the sort of basic idea of Miki Falls.